and good evening, everyone. My name is Shanti. I am the founder and CEO of Silence and Shame Incorporated, and I'm so excited to have all of you here for Mind Matters, exploring mental health professions and self-care community conversation. And during this discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about our panelists and their journeys, their insights, and their unique experiences within the behavioral health profession. But first, let's get to know our panelists. I'm really excited. I know most of you, but I love hearing about your journey. So please tell the audience a little bit about yourselves, and we'll start with you, Taylor.
Okay, I had a feeling I was going to go first. So I'm Taylor Peyton. I want to start by saying I'm a person in long-term recovery. I am a person with multiple felonies, and I am a person who's experienced homelessness for a long duration of time. I'm currently the Director of State Opioid Response for the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, state of Georgia. I am from Toledo, Ohio. I've been sober since 2015. I got sober in Detroit, Michigan, and I am so happy to be here with you all.
Yes! Thank you so much, Taylor.
Dr. Izzy. Love Kalisha
Izzard, yes.
Fondly known as Dr. Izzy. So excited to be here with you all this evening. Just to share a little bit about me, I am a licensed professional counselor of close to 20 years now. I know I look very young, but I started out even younger. I love to say that. I do have my own private practice, which is a telemental health practice that I'm so proud of, as well as just, again, many years in the community mental health space. And like I said, excited to be here with you all. And I'm excited to say I'm a double HBCU grad.
Yes! HBCU and Anthony.
Yes, my name is Anthony Catlin. It's a pleasure to be here. First and foremost, I'm a person in recovery from both behavioral health and substance use challenges. And so, I take this journey very seriously. I got well in about 2014, 2015. I decided to really stop walking down the stairs and turn around and walk up and get better. And so through that, I went through a certification to become a certified peer specialist for youth. And so from there, I provided a lot of support, direct support to young adults, youth and young adults, and worked through the ranks. I decided to make this a career field for myself and a lifestyle, not just a job. And so from there, I now work at the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, and I'm now a project director for a grant.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. Next up, we have the amazing Renette Arnold.
Thank you. And so I'm just so excited to work alongside each and every one of you. And it's funny because I've been able to see some of the growth, especially Anthony when he started out. But I'm Renette Arnold. I'm president and CEO of the Empowerment Agency. And so it's a social and behavioral health consulting firm. I just recently launched the Empowerment Networking Hub out in Dunwoody. So I'm so excited about that. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm just really thankful and grateful that I get to do something that impacts the world. And so I'm excited to be here today.
And you've been such a good friend to Silence and Shame, so we appreciate you. Last but certainly not least, we have Maria Ramos. Okay.
Ramos, if you're in Georgia or Alabama, whatever. I answered anything. Hi, my name is Maria Ramos. I work at Voices for Georgia's Children. We're a statewide research, policy, and advocacy organization. And our mission is to improve the well-being of all children in Georgia. So behavioral health is a part of that. But we kind of focus on a range of issues. So behavioral health, physical health, education, juvenile justice, child safety and well-being, kind of runs the gamut of children, their well-being, and their families. So I'm very excited and happy to be here with y'all tonight.
Thank you again, Maria. All right, so to give you all a little bit more context about the conversation, today we have an opportunity to dive into a valuable conversation about behavioral health professionals. The field of behavioral health is more critical than ever, yet it faces a shortage of professionals. We hope this discussion will inspire some of you to consider joining this rewarding profession. Our panelists bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm so excited for us to explore these topics together. Let's open up our minds, engage with empathy, I'm certainly an empath, and create a space where we can learn, grow, and support each other. Let's start with a question for all of our panelists. So, what does a typical day look like for you in your role, and what is a goal you want to accomplish every day in your role? And we could just start with you, Dr. Izzy, and go down.
Just going to start with me because I'm sitting here first, right? Great evening again, you all. So a typical day for me, I'm really, really blessed. This has taken some time to get to where I am. So just know that. But because I am in private practice for myself, which is a telemental health practice, I am able to work from home every day. What? Yes, which is wonderful. So I start my day off with some oatmeal, some fruit, some tea, and go downstairs in my nice little basement office and see clients all day. Till about 3-ish, I set my own hours, which is beautiful as well, so that I can have my time, I can have what we call work-life balance. And so I'm able to finish up around 2 or 3, and then after that, I'm jogging, I'm exercising, I'm doing something for my self-care so that I can release from all the great work and help that I did for those individuals on that day. Also, looking at a day in my life, I do a lot of service work. So I also serve on the National Board of Directors for the National Alliance of Mental Illness, as well as on the advisory board for the National Alliance of Mental Illness right here in our great state of Georgia. Woo-hoo! Yeah. And so that means I may have evening meetings where I'm having Zoom meetings in the evening. So sometimes my day still goes till about 9 o'clock because of those particular meetings. Once I finish with that, again, I'm doing something else to take care of me. So whether I'm doing some mindful breathing, whether I'm doing some reading, whether I'm writing out my goals, it's still always something so that I can debrief, come back down, and get ready for that next day. So even though it seems like my life is pretty much at peace and it's calm, it takes a lot of intention to keep it that way and to keep that balance. So just in a nutshell, I'm able to make my own schedule so that I can have the work-life balance that I need to keep doing this very important work that I do, which is helping to heal people on a daily basis. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you talked about pouring into yourself, right? That is critical for all of us at any stage in life. Maria?
Yeah, so I also work from home. That's one of the great things about COVID. Well, not one of the great things. One of the results of COVID was that I'm able to be remote now fully. So similar, I like to wake up and make sure that I have my self-care routine. So that's getting my morning coffee, talking to my dog who never talks back to me, making sure that I have time for myself. But also the beauty of my role, which is essentially project management, and really the beauty of nonprofit in general, I'd say, is that no 2 days look the same. And I'm someone who really likes that. I like the variety of it. So one day I may be, knee deep in research and gathering information and data to inform a report that we're going to write, and I talk to absolutely no one. And then the next day I could be out in the community at an event talking to hundreds of people. The next day I could be coordinating schedules and meetings. So it's such a variety, and it really just depends. But again, very thankful that I have the opportunity to be remote and that I work alongside really caring, great people, because I think no matter what the role looks like with various projects, I know I'm surrounded by a group of people that creates a safe space for me where if I am having an off day or I am having a bad mental health day or a good mental health day, I can share that, and I feel comfortable to do that because it impacts my work. Just making sure at the end of the day that I'm taking care of myself, because that will translate into taking care of others in the work that I do.
Thank you, Maria. Y'all seeing this theme here? Taking care of ourselves, right? Again, it's very important. Taylor?
There really is no typical day in my field. There are some days where I'm purely answering emails and processing invoices. There are some days where I'm out in the community talking to people, hearing their stories, educating people on substance use and opioid use, as well as different mental health disorders. There are days where I purely get to listen to people who have experienced different substance use disorders and mental health disorders. But I'm someone who can never stop talking, so I'm pretty involved. I love my job. I feel really grateful for my job, but recovery is really my life and the foundation of my entire life. So if I'm not working, helping women to achieve sobriety is everything to me. I also volunteer a lot at a nonprofit called Divas Who Win. that help women who have been experienced sex trafficking or sex work. That's another avenue of life that's really important to me, that has affected me profoundly. But meditation is big for me. Going to dinners with my girls is big for me, and going to the gym. All that is extremely important.
Renette?
Absolutely, I love it. And so, same thing. I've been working remotely for, about 15 years. And so this year I actually decided to open a private practice and do brick and mortar so I could go into the office and see people and have colleagues, etc. And so most of my day, I start my day for self-care purposes at about 5 or 6 a.m. where I am going to the gym. I'm spiritual, so I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna read Bible verses, take a moment to meditate, etc. And that really allows me to ground myself and get prepared for the day. Many of us, when we are talking and engaging people and talking about some of the issues and challenges that they experience, or even the community and working on budgets, etc., that's stressful, heavy stuff that impacts our own mental and emotional wellness. And so that's why up here you hear a lot of us talking about this is what we do throughout the day to integrate into our day. Other than that, it's usually meetings, whether I'm meeting with clients in terms of educating them or providing crisis support or wellness, talking about well-being. How do you take good care of yourself? What's some stress management tips? Or if something happened within the community, that's what we call a critical incident, such as a war, community violence, if there was a suicide or a workplace death, etc. I'm someone who they call in and say, hey, can you manage a group for our employees to talk about how do they manage their thoughts, feelings, and reactions related to this incident? And so as you can imagine with that, you're holding space for a lot. And so when I finish my sessions, I try to break them up so that I'm not rolling back to back for my own mental and emotional wellness. One of the things that I shared with them earlier after I finished my session today at 3 o'clock, I said, okay, I didn't go to the gym this morning early because I kind of slept in. Now I need to walk. So I went to the Beltline to get a walk in before I started getting ready for this. So it's really about being intentional. Even if the day doesn't go as planned, how can I break up my day so that I can still take good care of myself and not only meet the needs of my clients and take care of business, but how do I also take good care of myself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Renette. Anthony?
So for me, I'm one of the very fortunate people who, through the pandemic, was able to work from home. And now I'm kind of a hybrid worker. I go into the office on occasion once a week or once every other week. And it's very fortunate to be in that position. One of the biggest things that I think when you're working in this field is to be able to disconnect at the end of the day. Sometimes people will continue to answer emails and have meetings late into the night, but for your own, well-being, for us, I think it's best for us to be able to disconnect. And I learned this when I was providing direct support. I would have peers, reach out. If you say, call me anytime, people will call you anytime. And so you need to be able to, have your time for yourself, your self-care. And so I learned that I have work and I have my personal life. And so I'm able to separate them. So usually after 5 p.m. is when I shut everything down. I close the emails and the computer and everything like that. So I think that's very important for us and for you in the future, no matter what field you choose, if you choose behavioral health or something else, to be able to let work be work and then let home be home.
Thank you. I love that. How many of y'all take time for yourselves? You know how to disconnect? Not every hand is up, and I think we were like that, right, when we were younger, but, another word for that is establishing boundaries, right? So repeat after me. Boundaries, are a blessing. Boundaries, are a blessing. All right, remember that. Okay, I'm going to go back to you, Renette. How do you prioritize your self-care even more, kind of taking it a step further, and prevent burnout while working in such an emotionally demanding career? Because I know I'm an empath and I take in a lot. What is it about your career that keeps you coming back, though?
Absolutely. And so I'm an empath as well, and that weighs on us heavily. When you're someone who is an empath, or if you're working in a field where you're experiencing vicarious trauma or that secondary trauma, you're listening to things that other people are experiencing, it's having a toll on your mental and emotional wellness and also your body. And so I decided, and I'm going to put a date to it, 2013, I was transitioning from public health into crisis work. And one of the things that I said was, you got to really take better care of yourself. And so I said, I have all these good project management skills. I'm going to work managing other people's projects to make those companies and programs successful. What are you doing for yourself? And so I had this mindset shift. I'm going to start project managing myself better. So all of those skills in terms of scheduling, advocating for myself, looking down the timeline to say what needs to happen, what access to resources do I have, I started doing that for self-care. Now, what does that look like? I started scheduling my gym sessions. I started scheduling time or blocking out my calendar to say, no, this time is non-negotiable. I looked at what access do I have to resources in the community? Where are the gyms? What fun things are available? Where's yoga, etc.? How can I map it out so that I can get the best out of my day-to-day activities? And so now it's not when I get time, it's a matter of I'm going to plug my self-care in, even if it's something small. If I take a moment to do deep breaths, or I have a sound bath, a bowl that I use at my house or sometimes in between sessions, or I may break it out in a session and talk to people about self-care. I'm doing it for them, but I'm also doing it for myself because it helps me as well. And so it's about you integrating self-care into your lifestyle and not making it optional.
I love that. How many of y'all use Google Calendar or some form of calendar on your phone? So schedule me time in. 12 p.m., you got an hour between classes or 2 hours between your next class. Schedule that me time, even if it's 30 minutes and going outside. That's so important and critical. Thank you, Renette. All right, Dr. Izzy, can you share a little information about NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and their impact in the community? And what is your role as a board of directors, and what is that? How does that role rather play within the organization?
Woo, that was a loaded question. But absolutely, you all. And let me just share with you a little bit about even why I made the decision to come into NAMI. I saw all of the great work that the National Alliance on Mental Illness here in our great state of Georgia was doing and how they were serving people. So 3 of our main pillars is, number 1, providing education to individuals within the community about mental illness, as well as supporting families with individuals or loved ones with mental health challenges. And so we provide that education, but we also provide support. So we have support groups that are available. We have actual classes that are available for individuals to learn more about what mental health actually looks like, how to better take care of yourself. We also do something that we call advocacy, where we are making sure that we have a voice for the voiceless, for those who cannot speak up for themselves, those that do have mental health conditions and need certain resources, services, insurance, all of these different things. So we stay at the Capitol a lot, just like now we're actually in what they call legislative session at the Capitol, where all of these great and big time elected officials, they're making all of these major decisions about the great things that we're going to do here in the state of Georgia. So it's important for us to be visible, so that we can let them know that mental health is important. You see, I have on my little green scarf. I always wear something green because green is our color for mental health awareness, so that I can start the conversation with individuals. So NAMI just does a plethora, just a great deal of things for the community. Another amazing thing about NAMI is that we don't just serve the community from a top state organization. We have what we call affiliates that are in our local counties. So more than likely in the county that you live in, or even if you're out of state and you're at a particular college, that college is still within a county. So that county may have its own local NAMI affiliate that you can even get involved with. You can do programming with. We also have something called NAMI on campus. So if that is something you would like to even start at your school, feel free to come to me after and we can talk more about that. Shanti mentioned, board of directors. So yes, I serve in high leadership as well for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And I do that because that was a choice. That was an intentional choice for me to do. And that intentional choice is because I knew that NAMI serves all people. NAMI doesn't just serve a profession or specific individuals. They serve all people because mental health touches every family. It touches everyone at some point in your life. So that's one of the reasons why I've committed myself to NAMI.
Thank you, Dr. Izzy. Taylor, can you share a success story or initiative that you're particularly proud of in your work?
Sure, I can. So when working with the state, I think it's profoundly important for me to realize that I don't know everything. just because I'm a person in recovery doesn't mean I have any idea what it's like to be in recovery or to try to achieve recovery for someone who it looks a little different than me. Not a clue. So it was really important for me when I came in to create platforms for people who did understand to be doing that work for their community and for their people. So when I came in, I found different organizations who specified in helping Black individuals, Latin, and Asian, and was able to give them the grants and the money and the resources to do that work and help their own people, because I knew that I would never understand how. And having that humility in the beginning was a really big learning curve for me, and finding those organizations and going out there and going into the field and helping them prepare. It was a big feat, but we were able to do it. And I am profoundly grateful for that experience and to be able to learn through them and hear what they have to say and take a step back and realize that this isn't all about me and my experience. So I am profoundly proud of it.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Anthony, and this is something that's so important, because how many times are you going through something and then your parents or a guardian wants to talk to you, and I encourage that wholeheartedly, but sometimes you just feel more comfortable talking to your friends, right, and your peers. Anybody ever experienced that by showing hands? That's important, and I love the work that you do and how you teach people how to kind of lead as peer specialists. So Anthony, what unique perspective do you bring to your work as a certified peer specialist, and how does your lived experience contribute to supporting others in their mental health journey?
Well, my lived experience to me is everything. It's my degree. That's what qualifies me to be able to speak about, what to talk about and what I went through, and to be understanding. Similar to what Taylor said, we don't pretend that we know everything, but we allow ourselves to put ourselves in other people's shoes. And so by that standpoint, I like to think that I understand. And so I use understanding. I know what it's like. I have been, I've been homeless, what I call kind of fake homeless, where I stayed at an extended stay hotel for a little while, just to make ends meet for a minute, and so I bring an understanding of what it's like to even be in psychosis, what it's like to abuse substances, and at one point people probably thought I was too far gone, and that's no such thing. That anybody, as you continue to provide support to people, continue to provide encouragement, hope, you don't know what seeds you're planting, and you don't know what seeds you're watering. And so hope and encouragement and understanding are some of the biggest things that keep me in this field.
I love that. Thank you, Anthony, for your work and your vulnerability and your transparency. All right, Maria, let's come back down to Maria. How does Voices utilize research and data to inform mental health policies and programs within Georgia? And what is Free Your Feels, and what has been the impact in the community?
Ooh, I got 4 in 1. All right, so that's okay. So I think I'll contextualize the first part of that by explaining a little bit of Voices' approach to our work. So we approach our work with 3 guiding calls to action. So we educate, convene, and influence. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we're an advocacy organization, and our main focus is to improve the lives of children and their families. So we start by educating ourselves and others. So we conduct high-quality, small-scale research, and we synthesize that research and data to then inform policymakers, the community, about what the needs are that we're seeing and hearing. If y'all are interested in research, or if you think that that's something that you want to get into, I will say that one of the fun parts of it is something we've utilized recently called YPAR, which is the Youth Participatory Action Research Method. And it's bringing in young people and really putting them at the forefront. So normally young people are the subject of research, and it's putting them at the table and saying, create this research, facilitate it. So it really helps with the outcome to have them there and to center their voices. So we educate, we convene, we are stronger together, so we work alongside policymakers, organizations like NAMI, Silence the Shame, State agencies like DBHDD, we can't do it alone, so it's much better when we do it together. And then we educate, convene, and influence. So our main goal is to influence systems and influence policymakers to be equipped with the knowledge they need to make the right decisions on behalf of children in our state. And then Free Your Feels is one of our initiatives that we started. It was actually the brainchild of someone sitting right there in the back named Layla.
Layla. Y'all can look at Layla.
So back in 2020, the state wanted to partner with Voices for Georgia's Children to create a campaign to address the youth mental health crisis that was existing before COVID was even a thing. When COVID hit, we knew our runway was much shorter, so we needed to get something out there. So we gathered young people, we gathered subject matter experts and asked, what do you need? What would you like? We worked with a marketing firm, and they came up with a campaign called Free Your Feels. I have a little pin with the logo, so if you ever see the logo, it's very colorful, and young people were very intentional about that. They said, we don't want another campaign that's dark and drab about mental health. We want it to be inviting and warm and colorful. So all of our materials reflect that. We existed, we were going to only exist for about a year. We were going to be a short stint awareness campaign, and then the response from the community was great, and we realized that we needed to evolve and expand it into something else. So now we exist as more of a resource campaign. We're out in the community more. We gather more research and data to educate people about different mental health topics. We just started a pilot program in a middle school in Georgia for a peer-to-peer program, which some people are like, middle school, but even elementary school students now, they need that peer-to-peer interaction like Shanti was just talking about. So we hope that we're seeing the impact in the community. Young people want to talk about what they're feeling. They want that trusted adult in their lives. They want that peer that they can have that connection with. So we're just one piece of the puzzle alongside all these people up here in their organizations that are making a broader impact across Georgia.
Thank you, Maria, and it's such a pleasure and honor for Silas Shane to be working with Free Your Feels. So we're very grateful. All right, so we have probably about 5 minutes left until we get to Q&A, so we're going to do kind of rapid fire questions, but I want to ask you all if you could kind of answer in 30 to 45 seconds or less. What inspired you all to pursue a career in the behavioral health field, and why do you think it's needed in our communities? Let's start with Anthony.
I'd love to go first. As I talked earlier, talking about hope and stuff, I wanted to be a symbol that recovery is real and that we do get better no matter what you experience, no matter whether it's schizophrenia, depression, bipolar, anxiety. You can live a life that is worth living.
Amen.
Short and sweet.
Yes.
I'm going to sum mine up, and I thought about this question that you all provided to us. So I was born into a situation, and I'm going to make this as short as possible. So back in, I'm telling my age, 1983, my father was 60, my mom was 41, and so this was before a lot of medical treatment and advancement, pills, etc. So I was born into that situation. Statistically, I was not supposed to be as healthy as I am. Statistically, being born into the situation in the community that I was born into, I could have turned out a lot different. And so I have defeated many odds. There are other people who have been impacted by those odds who were not as successful. And so, one, I wanted to be an example, but two, I wanted to be able to support people and reach people and also understand their behaviors. And thirdly, I'm gonna say God. I tried to run from it. God was like, no, turn around, go back. I need you to sit right here and do this MSW degree, this Master's of Social Work. And so here I am, and I'm so glad I did.
We are too. Thank you, Renette. Taylor?
Yeah, I agree. I tried to kind of run away from mental health. None of my degrees are in mental health. I studied economics, political science, and public health. But I think this is just who I am, and it's what I love, and I love helping people. I love seeing the light turn on in people's eyes, and I've learned, if nothing, like your lived experience is the most valuable tool you can give someone. And I just think to not use that story to help someone is doing yourself and your community an injustice. That's all.
Absolutely. glad that you answered the call and honored that. Thank you, Taylor. Maria?
Yeah, so for me, I think I grew up in a very chaotic household, very different circumstances, and I think by default it was safe and natural for me to just be introspective and curious about behaviors I was witnessing and thoughts I was having, feelings I was having. And so I then carried that into college, got a bachelor's in psychology, and then just carried that into what I'm doing now. So I've always just been curious about my own thoughts and feelings and how that impacts my behaviors and my actions, and same with other people. And if I can help mentor and nurture that into a healthy side of the spectrum for anyone, then that's what I aim to do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Dr. Izzy?
Yay. So for me, I would say 3 things is what brought me into the field of mental health. Number 1, faith. Number 2, family. And I would also say purpose is what brought me into this field. So coming out as first generation female college graduate from Fayetteville State, absolutely, what a blessing that was. But coming out, I knew that I had to do some things different because I didn't have a blueprint. So a lot of things for me, I knew that I was going to be the first at doing in my family. And so coming out of Fayetteville State, I realized then at that time that I really needed to be as close to God as possible so that I could hear from him, so that I could know the direction for my life. Hence, finished Fayetteville State, I came out, I worked at Head Start as a family advocate, connecting families who were poverty stricken with bringing their children into Head Start. And after that, was more prayerful and decided that I would go into school teaching, and ended up becoming a special education school teacher for children in the middle school setting with mental health disorders. And that is when I knew that I needed to do more. When I saw that there were young people, 11 and 12 years old, diagnosed with bipolar and on major psychosis medications, I knew that I needed to find out more. And that's when I was able to make the decision to go back and get my degree in mental health counseling. And the rest, of course, is history. But also in my family, I realized that there were individuals who were suffering with mental illness as well as with addiction, and many of them still are. And I wanted to know that there was help for them. And now as a mental health professional, I know that people can thrive in recovery.
Absolutely. And yeah, you can clap for that. Quickly, I'll just add, like I told you, I worked in the music business. I thought I was going to be on tour with Usher and TLC for the rest of my life. But God had other plans. And so when I came close to taking my own life, you know, sometimes you feel like you go to school and you have all these other people that inspire you, and sometimes life and your experiences really end up being the true blueprint for what you're supposed to do. And I think every one of these panelists answered the call. I answered the call. And so it really is rewarding. It's fulfilling. It may not be for everybody, but I think it is. There's so many areas of potential and room in the behavioral health field. And some of you may end up being, you know, your own rock stars in this field. And so we want to open it up for Q&A. But right before that, I do want you, Renette, quickly to just answer this. What careers do you see emerging as this generation of professionals are growing and graduating in the healthcare field?
Oh, I love this question because I was actually doing some research the other night. I have a group of friends who are in IT and they aren't particularly thinking about mental health, right? They're in cybersecurity. I saw some data and some individuals, you can Google it, MSWs, Masters of Social Work, who are going into the cybersecurity field. So it is unlimitless. I will say whatever it is that you're interested in, follow your passion, but also do your research of the field. Ask questions, look online, find out about pay and what is the day-to-day life like for the individuals who are in the industry that you are thinking about. What we do know is that the growth of the behavioral health field is skyrocketing. It's increasing. We see it just from turnouts like this with you all saying, we want to know more about the profession, but we also want to talk about our mental health and wellness. So there are going to be growth spurts in that, but also don't just limit yourself to saying, I'm going to be a therapist or a counselor. What does this look like in terms of navigating or having that intersectionality of other industries with the mental health background? Psychology and marketing. I was fascinated by the cybersecurity and the MSW. I'm actually going to look at some certifications for that myself. So you can create what it is that you want to create. And especially with the evolution of technology and AI and being able to have these platforms to have your own businesses. So reach out, identify mentors, find out who else has their own business, etc., and tap in and build relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, Nick, ready to do some Q&A? Let's give it up for our panelists. So much wonderful information. All right, take it away, Nick.
Thank you so much, everybody. So we wanted to provide a space. If y'all have any questions you want to ask the panelists, I can just hand the mic and just pass it around that way. Please say your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, my name is Jaden. I go to Georgia State, like 2 minutes from here. My question is, like, I know you guys like have like a lot of like trauma and like different things. I was just wondering, like, how do you guys like get up here and like not get emotional about those things and just like still talk about it?
That's a good question. I will say for me, lots of self-care helps me manage it, but also knowing the fact that I am human. And so there are some times where I have been in some sessions, and if I feel myself about to tear up or have a reaction, I may say, I'm having a reaction with you. I'm experiencing something because this is a traumatic situation. For me, that gives me permission to be human, but also to show them that it's okay to emote your thoughts, feelings, reactions, to express yourself, etc. I think that if we give this perception that as professionals, we're supposed to have this stoic face and not respond or not have reactions, it sets a poor example for individuals to say, now you're supposed to express your emotions when I'm not expressing mine. And it also gives me some flexibility that if I do have that moment, it's okay. It happens. I'm human.
And silence. Sometimes just being silent and being present with that particular client makes all the difference. And like Renita was saying, understanding too the way that we're trained. There are some times where we need to self-disclose in order to make our clients feel a little bit more comfortable, and sometimes to make us feel more comfortable. But that silence, a few deep breaths, being present, making sure that I am displaying empathy to that client, that is what helps me get through trauma. And I worked with the United States veterans who had been in combat and just all different types of trauma, and did it for quite some time, and still was able to maintain my self-care and my balance in helping them to thrive as well. So it can be done.
I also want to say we didn't get here yesterday. My first year of sobriety was messy, and I had to do a lot of therapy. I had to do EMDR. I was in the hospital a lot for different panic attacks and things like that. A lot of work has been done by all of us to be where we're at today. And I do find myself getting emotional. I had to do some little talking from the board meeting, and I found myself getting emotional. But today when I get emotional, it's because I have so much gratitude that my life is where it's at today. And that's from a lot of work. So, just want to say that.
Next question.
Yeah, I would piggyback off of Taylor. A lot of work, self-work, on what you've experienced and stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things that I learned being in peer support and providing support to other people is the more you share your story, the more you're first able to process and understand it, and then share it in a healthy way. It frees yourself from it. So each time you share it, it gets a little bit easier, The first time you may cry, it's okay. First time you may get a little emotional or tense, it's okay. But the more you share it, the more free you become, and it doesn't control you. You control it, you control the narrative, and you control your story.
Thank you. And before you start, I'd like to just have you try to address your question to one person, because I do want to try to get to a few questions in the audience. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jayla, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name.
Renette.
Renette.
Me or
Oh, her. I'm sorry.
Taylor.
Sorry, I gave a name. I also go to Georgia State University, and I was wondering, working in such a personable field, how do you set boundaries with the people in your lives? Because I know this could be a really, I won't say draining career, but it can take a lot out of you.
Girl, I'm learning. My first year at this job, I didn't have the best boundaries, and I was on my phone emailing at 9 p.m. I was on the phone. I would be on the phone with some of my employees talking about their lives for 2 hours. It took me a lot of trial and error, and I'm not perfect. I'm still figuring it out. But have kind of like what he said earlier, my day ends at 5, unless I have special circumstances that I feel that I've agreed to. And I try to extend myself as far as I can. I'm not great at this, so I don't have the best answer. It's something I'm still learning. Saying no is really hard for me, and it's something I'm still trying to figure out. I have a tendency to want to be everywhere all the time and help everybody and do whatever I can. So saying no, planning my weeks in advance and kind of knowing what's coming up and knowing what I can do and can't do. But it's hard, man. And you'll figure out what works for you over time through messing up and making mistakes and getting out there and getting dirty. You'll figure it out, you know, or you'll get burnt. But ask me in like 3 years.
And realize
Sorry.
no is a complete sentence.
And you don't have to yell it.
Period. Not an explanation, just a period. Next question.
Hi everyone, I'm Charity. I'm from Baltimore, but I go to Clark Atlanta University for social work. My question is for Dr. Izzy. Well, first I want to thank y'all before I ask my question. I've learned so much from y'all. Y'all have planted seeds in me and watered me, and I just honor your vulnerability. But my question for you is, as a first generation college student, I saw myself in you. And what advice would you give to me as a first generation college student who often feels like out of place or wants to give up?
I think probably the first thing I would share with you is, number one, yes, don't give up, but we hear that a lot. But the key thing is to remove distractions. Remove any distraction that comes up so that you can continue to stay focused. And make sure that you keep those individuals in your life that you know really love you and that support you. So that can be mentors. So like for me, it was my youth pastor that came into my life at 15 years old. He still prays for me now, still texts me, checks on me now, even to this day. And then my mom and my dad, they were my cheerleaders, and they're still my cheerleaders and in my corner. So knowing those individuals that really love you and that's gonna stand by you. On those nights and weekends that I was crying trying to get through my dissertation as at a doctorate degree, my mom and my dad, they were on the other end of that phone. My youth pastor was on the other end of that phone. So they're gonna help you to walk through this journey too. They can't do it for you, but they are there to support you. Okay.
Thank you.
And if I could just quickly add to that, because family looks different for everyone and your support circle. So y'all know we just started March Madness, right? So you can't start a basketball game till you have 5 players on the court. I say, who's in your starting 5? Who's in your starting 5? You need to have 5 people that you can go to, whether they are friends, colleagues, family members, could be a professor, could be a coach. Make sure you have 5 people that you can kind of rotate, because everybody's not going to always be available. But have your starting 5, and those are the people that are going to pour into you. And you can, there's reciprocity in that. You pour back into them too. But y'all are going to uplift each other and hold each other accountable as you're on this journey to be great.
And I'm going to add, and if you don't have 5, or if they're unavailable, run over to YouTube and pull up a motivational video. I listen to one every morning. Those motivational videos will pour into you, will give you life, will make you feel like you can fly in the mornings. Pull that up and be intentional about it.
I agree. In 5 to 10 minutes, that's all it takes. 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's a great CBT tool too.
Right.
If I could share one of the videos that I use, it's the destination. It's the journey, not the destination. It's a homeless guy talking. Check that out.
Next question.
Hello, good evening everybody. My name is Sasha Penn. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and I attend Spelman College. My question is directed towards Dr. Izzy. I know that a lot of y'all are working at home, which is amazing. My mother loves it as well, so I understand. But I was wondering if maybe any of y'all, or specifically Dr. Izzy, if you had any internship opportunities or if, like mentoring programs, because I know that like how Dr. Ray said, it's like you pick a major and you really want to stay in that field and like run that course. But hearing all of y'all talk, I feel very motivated to try other fields and explore my options. So I would like to know if there's any opportunities along the way for that.
Now, for me, because I'm independent, I don't do internships, but what I will do is provide for you mentorship. And that's to help to give you direction and guidance in this field, because it is very broad. And so having somebody to walk with you throughout the journey, that can assist you in making the right choices and staying on the right path.
Thank you so much.
And we can find an internship for you.
Okay. Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
sure you can.
Next question.
So I'm Ethan Armstead. I'm a computer science major from Kansas State University. First of all, thank y'all so much. You all are, each and every one of you are very well spoken. I hope to one day be as well spoken as each of you. Really appreciate that. But my question is towards Anthony. So as a black man in general, right? How do you strike that balance between being in touch with your emotions, your emotional side, your mental health, but also kind of maintain that image of strength, of being that rock, of being reliable, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and like, in general, what's your opinion on that, and that concept of like, you know, quote unquote, like bugging it out, you know what I'm saying?
So this was something I struggled with for quite a while. And it wasn't, during my journey, once I was finally able to allow myself to open up to my therapist, the biggest thing was that he looked like me. And he understood me, he understood where I was at, what I was going through, and he helped me feel like a normal person. And so because of that, I let my walls come down with him, and by allowing myself to not hold on to being strong, I became strong. And so, not trying to hold on to something, but allowing ourselves to let go and be free, and there is freedom in that, and you end up finding what you're looking for.
We have time for a few more questions. Who has somebody with that? You guys need to, Nick, can you bring the mic to the next question? I can't see. Okay, thanks.
Hey, my name is Jacob. I'm from Atlanta. I go to Kansas State University. My question is for Anthony. When you got to college, do you feel like your mental health battle was amplified, or can you share your experience getting into college and how that journey is?
Yes. So I didn't finish college. That was part of my journey. I was in college, and I didn't focus on my studies as much. So I ended up partying and doing a lot of the other stuff, and I spent too much energy and attention into partying and doing drugs, and so I experienced what I experienced as a result of that. So, can you repeat your question, please?
It was more so on, did your college experience amplify your battle with mental health?
So that's where my journey began, was in college. And that's where my, from there, I haven't gone back. You know, I've thought about it. I've had a lot of thoughts about it, to be honest with you. But because of that was the beginning of my journey, that's something I'm still working through. If I want to go back, you know. So for me, I think that being able to balance and not even put attention into that lifestyle is very important. It's a trap. It's literally a trap. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Aubriana Northington, and I'm a first-year psychology major at Spelman College. And my question is for Dr. Izzy, but it's directed towards anyone. What you said about purpose really resonated with me. And my question was there ever a time that you could pinpoint where you were fulfilling your purpose, and what did you do to draw closer to that affirmation?
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about this, about the motivational videos. So, and this gentleman, sometimes I think individuals may think that he goes over their head, but I think if you really just take the time and break apart some of his sermons and things that he says, but it's the late Dr. Miles Monroe. So I started listening to him around the time I was probably about 34 or 35 years old. And I started just taking bits and pieces, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes here. And he does a lot of leadership teachings. He does a lot of purpose teachings. He's written so many books on purpose. And that is when I really started exploring and making sure that I was on the right path. And also as a woman of faith, making sure that I knew my spiritual gifts. So taking a spiritual gift survey And then making sure that I was lining up everything that I was doing for my career, for my service work, everything that lined up with those gifts, and trying to do the very best that I could to cultivate those gifts. So it was probably around the age of 37, 38-ish when I started seeing all these great, amazing opportunities start to happen in my life. You know, they call it the law of attraction because you're on that right path. And I knew then that I was walking in purpose. So I'm already walking in my purpose. And currently now I just discovered that I'm on the path to my destiny. So it does happen.
Thank you all as well.
Here, I got you. We'll get you in the back. I got you.
Hello, I'm Bryce Green, go to Morehouse College, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. My question is for Mr. Anthony, I believe. I have a friend that went through psychosis, and how would you recommend me to be in his life and be a greater influence among him, I guess?
I think, so I don't have the answer to everything, but I think one of the biggest things for us, people, just anybody, is having people that don't give up on you, having people that are walking the walk with you. They don't always have to fix you or try to, fix the situation, but if you have an understanding heart and are willing to be understanding, it can go a long way. I have a friend who I was in high school with who, at the beginning of my illness, after I left college and went back home, I was just trying to tell people what I'm experiencing. And as a friend from high school, and I shared with him some stuff that, looking back on it now, was kind of, hey man, you all right? But he listened to me and he asked me questions, and he's like, man, I think one of the things he said was that must be really hard to deal with, And he understood, and he was willing to be understanding, and it sticks in my brain to this day. We don't talk, we're friends on Facebook and stuff, but it was very impactful for me to have somebody who I felt understood me, or was willing to understand, or willing to empathize with me. I hope that helps.
And just to put a clinical touch on that question, I think sometimes when we are in relationships with individuals, we want to make sure that we're saying everything right. We want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to keep this solid relationship with them. And so we're kind of afraid to rock the boat, right? But the truth of the matter is, suicide is now the second leading cause of death, even on college campuses. Okay, I did an amazing panel at my alma mater at North Carolina A&T State University. We had over 500 students to actually show up for that event. And they received so many amazing resources from NAMI, from our counseling department, from our counseling center. And then within 24 hours, do you know that North Carolina A&T had their first suicide on campus? So we were so grateful, though, that we had at least reached this many students and giving them resources, because that's the key. When you're in these trusted peer relationships, you want to make sure that you know all or as many resources as possible that you can share with this friend of yours. There are youth helplines, there are crisis lines, there are free counseling services. There are just all types of resources that are available to share with the person that you love and your friend. But if you don't know them, then how are you going to be able to share them? So coming to events like this, finding out what those resources are, knowing those hotlines, knowing those crisis lines is something you can share with that person that you love. And it doesn't just happen, you all, in college relationships. It happens in our adult relationships. I have colleagues who are counselors, and they experience their own mental health challenges. And I have to be the one to say, hey, it's time for you to see someone. It's time for you to see a licensed professional. Oh, you're experiencing burnout. You're experiencing compassion fatigue. It's time for you to see someone. Try this resource. Try that. So it's for all of us to make sure that we know the resources that are available so that we can give them to the people that we love. Hopefully that helps.
Because whether you're a caregiver or you're going through your own challenges, whether you're a caregiver or you're going through your own challenges, mental health is often just hard to talk about. And I tell people, we all have mental health. We may not all have a mental illness, right? And so we try to get educated so that we can help our loved ones and our family members. We have a family member that has a serious mental illness, and some of the family don't talk to them. They're afraid, or they don't know how, or they just kind of, they've kind of, not necessarily ostracized them, but they've just kind of gone on about their lives, and it's hard. And so I'm not sure who answered that question, but kudos to you for even wanting to figure out how to be a friend to your friend who is going through that, because people are people, and mental health is health in general, whether we have physical health problems or mental health problems.
And so I also want to go back. The gentleman on the end right here asked the question about, did Anthony's college experience amplify his mental health? And so one of the things I think is important to note, it's typically in transitions and stress. So wherever we are, no matter what our age is, when we experience transitions, that adds extra stress. We're trying to figure life out. We're trying to figure out how to navigate college transitions, working while going to school, marriage, pregnancy, all of those types of things, relationships ending. You can see the trends related to mental health increase and go up. Related to suicide, when do most suicides happen? When relationships are ending, if people lose jobs or something associated with their identity, etc. So it's important to, one, note when you're stressed, how do you manage and cope with stress? What resources are available out there so that you know yourself, how do I regulate myself and bring myself down? And then are you taking good care of yourself so that when life happens, that you're better able to manage the day-to-day stress? This is also where I tell my age. Back in the day, there was a clown where it was called Bubble the Clown. It had water at the bottom. You would punch it. Do you all remember this? Do you all remember this? It would fall down and pop back up, right? So we would punch this clown. It's probably an animated one now. We would punch this clown and try to figure out, how does it keep popping back up? Well, it was water at the bottom of that blow-up clown. Our self-care is our water that helps us pop back up. So that's why it's so important for us to continue to pour into ourselves so that we can get back up. And one of the things that I say, I hate to say it, life is like, or we're like Bubble the Clown and life is trying to take us out. You know, we say life is lifing. In order for you to get back up and be resilient, you got to constantly pour water into yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If I can piggyback
I think
a
we have
little.
time for one more question, right?
Yeah, back here, I would say this was the last question.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Chloe Johnson. I go to KSU. I was gonna ask the three ladies in the middle. I'm curious about coping mechanisms. I suck at them, let's just be honest right now. They're so annoying. They feel so fake. I'm so serious, they're so annoying. They feel fake, and I feel like a faker, just, I don't know, trying to be happy or meditate or do all these things, and they're like, oh, but it'll make you feel better, like go on a walk. I go on a walk, I'm upset or sad or whatever on my walk, or I do things and that's all I can think about. Are there any coping mechanisms that you can think of that aren't so like in your face positive, like, oh my God, be happy? Because sometimes I just need something subtle to kind of like settle me back out, because dude, what the hell?
I think helping other people, getting out of your own head, doing something for somebody else, you know, it really puts in perspective your issues and makes you stop thinking about yourself so constantly. That's been the most freeing experience for me, is to like sit and listen to somebody else who's going through more than me, or go volunteer somewhere else, or go to a homeless shelter, or wherever, and just hear someone else's issues and be outside of my own head for like a second. And honestly, dude, fake it till you make it. I know you hate that.
Everyone tells me that, but like, I used to do that when I was younger, but it got to the point where like I didn't talk at all about my problems, and then I was like told to, hey, talk about your problems, and I'm like, great, like what do I do?
So for me, I'm gonna say it's twofold. One, thinking about the daily living activities. What do we do on a day-to-day basis that just promotes overall health and wellness and well-being? Looking at your sleep, your nutrition, what you put in your body, physical exercise, spending quality time with family and friends who give you energy in life. Not all family and friends may do that. The meditation, etc. Those daily living activities are gonna do a couple of things. It's gonna stimulate production of dopamine in the brain. When that happens, it automatically causes a response where it makes us feel good, it elevates our mood, etc. If that does not happen, then that's really where we want to figure out, okay, what's going on? The second thing that I'm going to encourage is getting connected with a therapist. what I would want to know is what's going on your journey that has that mindset thinking, you know, I'm doing this, but I really don't want to do this, or I'm doing this, but this is kind of pointless, etc. You have to work through those thoughts, because if you think that I'm going to do this, but this is really stupid and it doesn't really work, etc., more than like it's not going to work, because your thoughts have already told you this is not going to work. So taking a moment to say, I'm going to release and throw all of that stuff out the door, and I'm just going to start over. I'm going to hit the reset button. Matter of fact, if you have something, those little staple buttons used to be like a reset button. Do something to signify I'm starting over. I'm throwing out all of that old stuff, and I'm going to just take good care of myself. I'm going to do things that promote overall health and wellness. And then when you're doing it, and once you stop, ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel good? Do I feel happy? One of the tricks that I do, and I would like to exchange information if we can, and let me know if this works for you. One of the tips that I have that I got from Mel Robbins, she talks about the high five method. And so one day I was having a really crappy day, and I was like, this is stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway because Mel said it works. And so I'm looking in the mirror, and I forget what was going on that day, but it was a really bad day, and I usually don't have bad days. And so I said, I'm going to do high five in the mirror. And so I raised my hand, and as soon as I raised my hand, I smiled. And so I was like, oh crap, that worked. And so since then, if I have a bad day, I'm doing a high five method. This is where it goes beyond us. The brain, when the brain is conditioned to something that is good, that we associate with goodness, when you get a high five, that means you rocked house right. You did something good. You passed the test, etc. So the brain doesn't know that you're like not really feeling good on the inside. When you do that high five, you smile. And so again, if you're doing this and you're having a different reaction, do seek out a therapist so we can talk through what's going on, what's preventing you from experiencing that emotion as well, because that's something that's occurring within you. But the high five method works.
And I'll just very quickly add, it wasn't until a few years ago that I was financially able to go see a therapist, and before then I was just living in survival mode. And I think what would have helped me then is simply knowing my emotions and just being with them. I think for so long it was easy for me to just have that black and white thinking, and if I was frustrated or angry, I either didn't experience it or I fully experienced it to an extent where it just wasn't good and healthy. And now I'm able to see the nuances of what I'm feeling and regulate them when I'm able to. And for me, that helps me to cope, because it doesn't take me to a place that's unhealthy or where it just consumes me.
Thank you. And I'll just add, I'm still trying to figure out how to do meditation. I'm 7 years in on being the founder of running Silence and Shame, but I also say tap into your inner child. I lost my sister unexpectedly 5 years ago, and it literally felt like the worst day of my life. I was having an out-of-body experience, and it was horrible. Then I lost my mother 2 years ago. So I am heavy and deep in the grief journey. And so I have really good days and bad days. And for those that follow me on social media know, one day you might get an ugly cry on social media, and the next day, I'm smiling. But I say all that to say, I've started going back doing what I loved when I was a child, and that was laughing. I spent this past weekend with some of my friends. I'm 53, but I got friends from elementary, middle school, and high school. That was the beauty of growing up in Atlanta. We're still all really connected. We played Uno and talked so much smack and laughed our asses off, excuse my language. But I hadn't had that much fun. It was like one of those laughs where your stomach's hurting so bad, you really can't catch your breath to even talk. That is such good healing for the soul, and it did a lot for my mental psyche over the weekend. It pulled me out of the dumps into what I was, really dealing with, because I'm coming up on the 5-year anniversary of my sister. So I started getting really anxious a month before that. So anyway, just try laughing too, but you got to figure out what works for you, because I say it all the time. We all have these wonderful ways to cope, but it doesn't work for everybody. So my prayer for you is to just, whether you're spiritual or you believe in the universe or God, pray to whoever you pray to, right? To help you find that inner peace and that joy that you're looking for, because you will find other ways to cope. And you don't have to do what society's telling you to do. You don't have to take a walk if you don't feel like it. You don't have to do meditation. But you gotta do something, right? And that's what we're all kind of trying to do, is figure out how to get on that track and find joy and happiness. But make your prayer for the joy that works for you. Because works for you doesn't work for everybody else, right? But you will get to that happy place. It just takes some time. All right, y'all. So thank you to our amazing panelists today for sharing their journey, their knowledge, and their experiences. This was such an important conversation, and we hope you learned new information. We hope you felt seen. We hope you felt heard, and that you can take these shared experiences back, right, into your own communities and universities and schools. And we thank you for spending your evening with us. And something that I like to do as I close, because I speak to a lot of corporations and universities. So just indulge me for 2 seconds. Say, I am love. I am love. I am joy. I am joy. I am peace. I am peace. I am everything I need to be. I am everything I need to be. I am enough. All right. Thank y'all. And we gotta give it up to the Silence and Shame staff, Mia and Nick. I don't know where Megan is. All of our volunteers in the green t-shirts. Thank you, STS volunteers. Thank you to Layla, everybody at DDHDD. We really appreciate you all. And if you feel like it, you don't have to, but would you come up and take a picture with us, if you don't mind? And then we'll close it out. We hope everybody gets home safely. You have any announcements?
Yeah, we just want 2 things to happen. We want you guys to take a picture, and then we also want our cohort to take a picture too. And then that's it.
Well, they can do one with us.
Yes, that's what I meant. Okay. By themselves and with y'all. Okay. So first y'all, then y'all with them, and then
we get the old people out the way first. So come on, take a picture.
Yes.
Shanti, Shanti, and the pen.
You want to be in there?
Yeah. Go ahead. Wait for Layla.
Come on, Layla.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
If I am your
Take a picture.
Oh, I don't matter. Oh, no problem. Did Megan leave?
Yes.
Who are you looking at?
I don't know.
We're looking right here. Okay.